Welcome to Speak Forward English, where we help you master the language with confidence.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to another episode. I'm Sophia, and I'm so excited to be here with you today.
And I'm Jerry. Great to be here, Sophia. You know, I've been really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too! So before we dive in, if you're enjoying our content and want to improve your English listening skills, make sure to subscribe for daily English listening practice. We release new conversations every single day.
Absolutely. Hit that subscribe button, folks. So, Sophia, today we're talking about motivation for success in 2026. And honestly, I think this year is going to be huge for a lot of people.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. You know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. What does success even mean in 2026? Like, it's so different from what it used to be, even 5 years ago.
Right? I mean, success used to be pretty straightforward. You know, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, buy a house, retire at 65. But now,
Now it's completely flipped. I have a friend, actually. Her name is Rachel, and she left her 6-figure marketing job last year to start a digital nomad lifestyle. She's teaching English online while traveling through Southeast Asia.
wow, that's amazing.
And here's the thing, she told me she's never been happier or felt more successful, even though she's making less money. Her motivation completely shifted from external validation to internal fulfillment.
That's such a powerful example. You know, it reminds me of something I read recently. There was this study that showed people who define success on their own terms are like 60% more likely to achieve their goals.
Really? That's incredible.
Yeah, because when you're chasing someone else's version of success, you're basically running a race with no finish line. You'll never feel like you've actually won.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. I actually experienced this myself back in 2024. I was working at this tech startup, and everyone around me was obsessed with getting promoted, making more money, getting the corner office, you know.
Let me guess, you felt pressured to want the same things.
Exactly. I remember sitting in meetings thinking, why don't I care about this as much as everyone else? And I felt like something was wrong with me.
But there wasn't anything wrong with you. You just had different priorities.
Precisely. My motivation was in creative work, in making an impact, in having flexibility. But I was trying to force myself into this mold that just didn't fit.
So what did you do?
Well, it took me a while to figure it out, honestly. I started journaling every morning, asking myself what actually made me excited to get out of bed, and it wasn't climbing that corporate ladder.
That's such an important realization. You know, I think one of the biggest motivation killers in 2026 is comparison culture. Social media has made it so easy to compare our Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20.
Oh, don't even get me started. Instagram and TikTok can be such productivity black holes. You scroll for 5 minutes and suddenly you feel like you're behind in life.
Right? You see someone's highlight reel and think, wow, I'm not doing enough. But here's what people don't show: the failures, the setbacks, the days they wanted to give up.
Absolutely. I actually have a perfect example of this. My cousin Marcus started a fitness coaching business in early 2025. On social media, it looked like overnight success.
But it wasn't.
Not even close. He told me he failed 3 times before. He had launched 2 other businesses that completely flopped. He lost money, lost confidence, the whole 9 yards.
But he kept going.
He kept going, and you know what his secret was? He stopped trying to copy what successful fitness influencers were doing and started focusing on what made him unique.
That's the key right there. Authenticity is such a huge motivator. When you're trying to be someone else, it's exhausting. But when you're being yourself, that's sustainable.
Exactly. And speaking of sustainability, I think that's another crucial aspect of motivation in 2026. We're not talking about short bursts of inspiration anymore.
Oh, you mean like those New Year's resolutions that die by February?
Yes, exactly those. We've all been there. You get super motivated on January 1st. You're going to hit the gym 5 times a week, learn a new language, start that side hustle.
And then by Valentine's Day, you're back on the couch watching Netflix.
Pretty much. But here's what I've learned. Motivation isn't supposed to be this constant high energy feeling. That's not realistic.
So what is it then?
It's more like a rhythm. Some days you're on fire, some days you're just going through the motions, and that's okay. The key is having systems in place that keep you moving even when motivation is low.
Ooh, I love that. Can you give me an example?
Sure. So I wanted to write a book, right? But I kept waiting to feel motivated to write. Some days I'd write 3,000 words, other days nothing for weeks.
That sounds frustrating.
It was. Until I created a system. I committed to writing just 200 words every single day, no matter what, even if I felt zero motivation.
And did it work?
It completely changed everything. Because 200 words is so small, I could do it even on my worst days. And you know what's funny? Most days, I'd write way more than 200 once I got started.
That's the power of momentum, isn't it? Starting is the hardest part.
Exactly. And that brings me to another point about success in 2026. We need to celebrate small wins, like really celebrate them.
Why do you think that's so important?
Because our brains are wired to focus on what we haven't accomplished yet. We hit one goal and immediately look at the next mountain to climb.
That's so true. I remember when I got my first promotion, I was happy for like 5 minutes. Then I started stressing about the next level.
See? We do this to ourselves. But here's what neuroscience tells us. When we acknowledge and celebrate small wins, our brain releases dopamine, which actually increases motivation for future tasks.
So celebrating isn't just feel-good fluff, it's actually strategic.
Completely strategic. I have a colleague, Daniel, who keeps what he calls a wins journal. Every Friday, he writes down 3 wins from the week, no matter how small.
That's brilliant.
Right? And he says it's transformed his mindset. Instead of ending the week feeling like he didn't do enough, he sees clear evidence of progress.
I might steal that idea. You know what else I think is crucial for motivation in 2026? Community and accountability.
Oh, absolutely. You can't succeed in isolation.
No way. I learned this the hard way. In 2025, I tried to learn coding completely on my own. I'd watch tutorials, do the exercises, but I had no one to share my progress with or ask questions.
And you eventually gave up?
I did. I made it about 6 weeks before I lost all motivation. But then I joined an online coding boot camp with a cohort of other learners.
And that made the difference?
Completely. Having people who were on the same journey, who understood the struggles, who celebrated when I debugged my first major error, that's what kept me going.
That's such a powerful example. And I think it highlights something important about 2026. With so many people working remotely and doing their own thing, we have to be intentional about building community.
Absolutely. It doesn't just happen anymore. You have to seek it out.
Right. Whether it's joining a mastermind group, finding an accountability partner, or even just participating in online communities related to your goals. Speaking of goals, how do you think people should approach goal setting for success in 2026?
Ooh, good question. I think the traditional SMART goals framework is still useful, but it needs an upgrade. What kind of upgrade?
Well, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, right? But they don't always account for flexibility and adaptation.
What do you mean?
Think about how fast things change now. A goal you set in January might not make sense by June because the landscape has completely shifted.
So what do you suggest?
I like what I call directional goals. Instead of saying, I will make exactly $100,000 this year, you might say, I'm moving toward financial abundance by developing multiple income streams.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's more about the direction than the exact destination.
Exactly. It gives you flexibility to adapt while still having a clear direction. I have a friend, Lisa, who's a perfect example of this.
Tell me about Lisa.
So Lisa set a goal to become a thought leader in sustainable fashion. She didn't specify exactly how, just the direction she wanted to go.
Smart approach.
Right? So she started with a blog, but then podcasts blew up in her niche, so she pivoted to that. Then she got invited to speak at conferences, which she never could have planned for.
But she was able to say yes because her goal was directional, not rigid?
Precisely. If she'd set a rigid goal like publish 100 blog posts, she might have missed those other opportunities.
That's such a great point. You know what else I think kills motivation? Perfectionism.
Oh my gosh, yes. Perfectionism is just fear wearing a fancy outfit.
I love that. But seriously, I see so many people who never start because they're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions.
And that perfect moment never comes.
Never. I used to be like this with my YouTube channel. I spent months planning, scripting, buying equipment, everything except actually filming.
What changed?
I watched an interview with a successful creator who said, "Your first 100 videos are going to be terrible anyway, so just get them over with."
That's harsh, but true.
Right? So I just started. My first videos were awful. The lighting was bad, my audio was terrible, I rambled on and on.
But you improved.
Every single video got better. Because I was learning by doing, not by planning. And you know what? Some of those early videos are my most popular ones now.
Of course they are. That's how it always works. You know, this makes me think about the importance of failing forward.
Failing forward?
Yeah, it's this concept that every failure is actually just data that helps you succeed next time.
I like that reframe.
Me too. Instead of seeing failure as this dead end, you see it as a stepping stone. Like Thomas Edison with the light bulb, right?
Oh yeah, he famously said he didn't fail. He just found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
Exactly, and that mindset is everything. In 2026, I think we need to normalize failure as part of the success journey.
Especially with how fast things move now. You kind of have to fail fast and learn quickly.
Right. The people who are going to succeed are the ones who can pivot quickly when something doesn't work, not the ones who stick to a failing plan just because they've already put in so much time.
That's the sunk cost fallacy, isn't it?
Yep, and it's such a motivation killer. I see people staying in jobs they hate, relationships that don't serve them, business ideas that aren't working, all because they've already put in so much time.
But cutting your losses is actually the brave thing to do.
It really is. And it frees up your energy and resources for something that actually has potential.
Speaking of energy, let's talk about sustainable motivation. How do people keep their energy up for the long haul?
This is so important. I think people underestimate the role of physical health in motivation and success.
We mean like exercise and nutrition?
Exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management, all of it. Your brain is part of your body. If your body isn't functioning well, your motivation and decision-making suffer.
I learned this the hard way. I used to pull all-nighters thinking I was being productive.
And you weren't?
Not at all. I was making terrible decisions, my creativity tanked, and honestly, I probably did worse work in those sleepless nights than if I'd just gone to bed and tackled it fresh in the morning.
Sleep is so underrated. There's actually research showing that sleep deprivation affects you the same way as being drunk.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So people are basically making drunk decisions about their careers and lives because they're not sleeping enough.
That's a terrifying thought, but also explains a lot.
Right? So if anyone listening wants to increase their motivation and success in 2026, start with the basics. Sleep 7 to 8 hours, move your body regularly, eat real food.
It sounds simple, but it's not always easy.
Nothing worthwhile ever is. But here's the thing, you can't hustle your way to success if you're running on empty. That's not sustainable.
So it's more like a marathon than a sprint.
Exactly. And in a marathon, you need to pace yourself. You need rest stops, you need proper fuel, you need training.
That's such a good metaphor. You know what else I think is important? Having a strong why.
Oh, absolutely. Your why is your anchor.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. Your why is the deep reason behind your goals. It's not just, I want to make money. It's, I want to make money so I can provide my kids with opportunities I never had, or so I can retire my parents.
So it's the emotional driver.
Exactly. And when things get hard, and they will get hard, your why is what keeps you going when motivation fades.
Do you have an example of this?
I do. My friend James started a nonprofit in 2024. He wanted to provide coding education to underprivileged youth.
That's awesome.
It is, but it was really hard at first. He faced rejection from donors, struggled to find volunteers, dealt with a ton of red tape and bureaucracy.
So what kept him going?
His why was crystal clear. He grew up in poverty himself, and a free coding class changed his entire life trajectory. He wanted to be that opportunity for other kids.
And that why was strong enough to overcome all the obstacles?
Completely. He told me there were days he wanted to quit, but then he'd think about the kids who needed that program, and he'd find the strength to keep going.
That's powerful. So how do people find their why if they're not sure what it is?
Great question. I think you have to dig deeper than surface level wants. Keep asking why until you get to the emotional core.
Like how?
Okay, so let's say someone wants to start a business. Ask, why do you want to start a business? They might say, to make money. Okay, why do you want to make money? To have financial freedom. Why do you want financial freedom? Keep going until you hit something that makes you emotional.
So it might be something like, I don't want my kids to stress about money the way I did growing up.
Exactly. Now that's a why with emotional power. That's what will get you through the hard times.
We should probably mention something for our listeners. If you're finding this conversation valuable and want to improve your English listening comprehension, make sure to subscribe for daily English listening practice.
Yes, we release new conversations every day on various topics, and it's a great way to improve your English while learning about personal development, business, culture, and more.
All right, so Sophia, as we start wrapping up, what's your number one piece of advice for someone who wants to achieve success in 2026?
That's tough because there's so much we covered. But if I had to choose one thing, I'd say define success for yourself first before chasing it.
Why is that the most important?
Because if you don't define it yourself, society will define it for you. And you'll spend your whole life climbing a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall,
That's such a vivid image, but so true.
right? So sit down, really think about what matters to you, not what matters to your parents, your friends, social media, but to you. What lights you up? What impact do you want to have? What does your ideal day look like?
And once you have that clarity,
Then you can create a plan to move toward that vision, and your motivation will be so much stronger because you're chasing something that actually matters to you.
I love that. My advice would be to build systems over relying on motivation alone.
Ooh, expand on that.
Well, motivation is fickle. Some days you have it, some days you don't. But if you have systems and habits in place, you make progress regardless of how you feel.
That's so smart.
Like we talked about earlier with your writing example, 200 words a day is a system. It doesn't require motivation, just consistency.
And consistency beats intensity every time.
Exactly. Someone who works out for 30 minutes 3 times a week for a year will see better results than someone who goes crazy at the gym for 2 weeks and then burns out.
Yes, the tortoise really does beat the hare.
It really does. So my advice is build systems that make success inevitable, not dependent on motivation.
That's perfect advice for 2026. Well, Jerry, this has been such an energizing conversation.
It really has. I feel more motivated just talking about motivation.
Me too, and I hope everyone listening feels the same way. Remember, success in 2026 is about defining your own path, building sustainable systems, embracing failure as learning, and staying connected to your why.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And don't forget to subscribe for daily English listening practice. We'll be back tomorrow with another engaging conversation.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Now go out there and make 2026 your year.